I want to begin with thanks to my 13 predecessors for their extraordinary work and dedication, most especially Bruce Haywood and Maury Ditzler, who honor us with their presence today. To the current and former Board of Trustee officers who are with us today, current Chair Bill Goldsboro and Vice Chair Nancy Snowden, former Chair Dave Bowers and Vice Chair Bill Trubeck, and former Treasurer Ralph Whiteman. To the trustees, faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Monmouth College, and the people of the city of Monmouth who have welcomed Lobe and me so warmly. To the institutional delegates, class representatives, and our exceptionally talented faculty, staff, and students who are participating in the ceremony. To all of the friends, old and new, who have honored me with their presence on this platform. To everyone who has worked so hard to make this event a great celebration of Monmouth College. Our facilities management staff, our Aramark food service friends, and most especially the Inaugural Committee, particularly Rhonda Wilhart, who has coordinated this effort with skill, good humor, and exceeding patience. To the friends who have traveled from across the country to share this moment with Lobe and me. To our family members who are with us today, Lobe's brother Brad and sister Ray, my brother Roy and sister-in-law Alma, and our children, John Wyatt and Sharon Tumbleson, and to all of our family who cannot be with us today. Most of all to Lobe, who makes all things possible. It is a time of division. No matter what the topic, it seems that conversation, if shouting matches and invective pass for conversation, is dominated by the extremes of opinion. People with differing viewpoints seem unable to talk with each other to acknowledge any value in other opinions. Our government and politics are incapable of dealing with the fundamental issues of the day. You might think that I am describing our own time, and sadly much of this characterization applies. But for now I speak of the 1850s. Our nation was in great turmoil in the decade of the 1850s. The divisions over slavery, the issue that had come to be called America's original sin, had become ever more extreme. The status of slavery and territories acquired as a result of the war with Mexico created tremendous controversy, raising the threat of secession in 1850. The effort to bring the Kansas Territory into statehood caused a bloody civil war in that area, and the violence spread even to Congress, where senators and representatives routinely came to the Capitol armed with pistols and knives. Illinois stood at the heart of this turmoil, containing all of the stances and opinions of the day, from south to north. In the midst of these events, a group of individuals looked to establish an institution of learning. In 1853, the Reverends James Porter and Robert Ross, along with prominent local citizens such as Ivory Quinby and James Madden, founded the academy that would quickly become Monmouth College. Several local communities vied for the college, but Monmouth won out over nearby Oquawka, what was described as a morally unsavory Mississippi River port. Part of the decision came from the persuasiveness of Reverend Porter, plus the promise of $1,150 from Ivory Quinby, James Madden, and others. Ah, the power of philanthropy. The founders of the college called David Wallace as its first president. Wallace was only 30 years old and had already served as president of Muskingum College and superintendent of the Wheeling, West Virginia schools. Any new beginning is an act of faith, but the establishment of a college in such a time of strife and uncertainty was especially so. From the beginning, Monmouth College was a voice of reason, for intellect, for community, in the midst of chaos. Even as the Civil War swept across the country, President Wallace was determined to keep the college open, declaring in the fall of 1862, "We must educate, whether there be peace or war." From its earliest days, Monmouth was also a place of inclusiveness, enrolling women and people of color, defying the conventions of the day. Monmouth has a long legacy of the empowerment of women. Ada Bruin was an early leader. When President Wallace expressed concern about young women being accompanied too often by any one young man, he instructed the female students to, quote, be independent and with lantern in hand, go alone. Ada Bruin took him at his word and organized Monmouth's female students to march through the campus, lanterns in hand, in demonstration of their independence from men, President Wallace included. Ada Bruin was one of the founders of Pi Beta Phi, the nation's first secret society for women, marking the birth of sororities here at Monmouth College. At this same time, another citizen of Illinois came forward, a person who strove to address these fundamental divisions, who stood for the same values embodied by Monmouth College. Born in Kentucky to very modest circumstances, he worked in several occupations, including as manual laborer and store clerk, before being steered to a career in the law by John Todd Stewart, a prominent Kentucky attorney, and I am pleased to say, an alumnus of Centre College. Abraham Lincoln had very little formal education, but his extensive reading exposed him to the richness of the human experience, and along with his immersion in the life of 19th century America, nurtured in him intellectual curiosity, moral courage, and vision, preparing him for leadership at this crucial time. Most of all, it developed in him an ability to grow, to see himself from outside himself. It freed him from the circumstances of his birth, allowing him to see his time, his self, himself, his country anew. In late 1862, President Lincoln faced crushing challenges. The war was going badly for the Union. He had suffered significant losses in the 1862 off-year elections. But in the face of these challenges, Lincoln's great character and vision led him to understand that the Civil War was indeed a second American Revolution, and that only by ending slavery could we realize our full promise as a society. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation that September, and that December, in his second annual message to Congress, he challenged all Americans to share his vision. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present, he wrote. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. In its own way, our world today is just as divided, just as chaotic as in Lincoln's time. Conflict and challenge confront us at every turn. Our national and global societies yearn for, demand, women and men empowered to lead us through these uncertain times. But what is it that we can do to address these great challenges here in our corner of West Central Illinois? If we are to bring order and progress from this turmoil, if we are to fulfill the potential that lies within each of us and our societies, education is the key. But if we are to help free our country, our world, of the dogmas of the quiet past, we as educational institutions and those who lead them must start with ourselves. We must think anew and act anew. American higher education is now in a period of concentrated change, and no college or university is immune. This is especially true for residential liberal arts colleges. Over the next decade or so, a great sorting out will take place among these institutions. Some lacking the resources and or will to respond positively will hunker down and hope to survive. In doing so, they set themselves on a path to stagnation, to declining quality, and in some cases to extinction. Other colleges are responding by dramatically changing who they are, trying to be all things and adopting short-term fixes that dilute or abandon a commitment to the liberal arts. A much smaller group of colleges, those with the largest endowments and deepest applicant pools, feel little sense of urgency, little real need to innovate. Monmouth is distinctively positioned to define another path, creating a more intentional, purposeful, and coordinated program of human development, and ensuring that this experience is responsive and available to a changing American and global society. This path represents the next stage in the evolution of the residential liberal arts experience. In this time of dramatic change for higher education, Monmouth has not just the opportunity, not just the necessity, but the duty to lead. How do we do this? I suggest that we start by thinking not of the liberal arts in the traditional sense. Rather, let us think of the liberating arts, an experience that frees our students from the particular moments of their births. Our enterprise possesses great power. That power resides in the process of human development, not just in the transmission of a body of knowledge, not just the preparation for a job, but the guided growth of young women and men as intellectual, social, moral, and physical beings. Such an experience will allow them to answer challenges, seize opportunities as yet unimagined. Such an experience will include but go beyond what columnist David Brooks recently described as, quote, resume virtues, those that we bring to the marketplace, to include what he called eulogy virtues, those talked about at our funerals. Brooks continued, our culture and educational systems spend more time teaching the skills and strategies for career success than the qualities needed to radiate an inner light. Many of us are clearer on how to build an external career than on how to build inner character. Our national and global society yearns for such people as leaders, and no educational experience fulfills this purpose better than that which Monmouth and other strong residential colleges offer. But as strong as that experience is, it is not adequate to the moment at hand. We must imagine and create an environment that prepares our students for the world in which they will live, work, thrive, and lead. If we were gathering today to found a college from scratch, would its curriculum, its organization, look like ours or that of hundreds of other liberal arts colleges? I would bet not. We must first recognize and act upon the fact that our students are not little silos. One part academic, one part residence life, one part athletics or arts or student government. Each of these elements shapes our students' development. We should act on this fact, fully integrating every aspect of this experience into a seamless and mutually enforcing program of human development. We should ban the term extracurricular, for nothing is outside or extraneous if properly conceived and executed. No matter what our particular titles may be, we are all teachers and we are all learners. With this mindset in place, we can build this experience on fundamental principles, each of which mirrors the world for which we are preparing our students. First, we will remain a place of high opportunity. Monmouth has long prided itself on making a challenging educational experience available to students from all socioeconomic backgrounds, and in recent years has become much more diverse in terms of ethnic and national origin. But the discussions of opportunity shouldn't end with the payment of a deposit or on move-in day. Opportunity includes making an even more rigorous, innovative, and varied educational experience available throughout our students' 4 years. That includes creating and adopting new methodologies, especially effective use of technology, to support and enhance the core power of the residential liberating arts experience. To realize the full meaning of high opportunity, we must remain open to bright and aspiring students of all backgrounds. But we must also enhance our commitment to being a place of high quality and high achievement. My brother Roy and I know the full meaning of opportunity from our own lives. We have lived it. Roy, our sister Rosemary, and I were the first in our family to attend high school. The circumstances of their lives did not allow our parents to go past the 8th grade. And Roy and I went on, each of us, to earn advanced degrees. Second, our experience should be truly integrative and multidisciplinary. Our students will not approach their careers, much less their lives as civic leaders, solely from the perspective of any one discipline. not even history. Combining different ideas, different methods, in new ways to address old problems and problems yet to come. This attribute is increasingly desired and demanded. Let us mirror that experience here and now. Third, our experience should be truly experiential, achieving the full understanding that comes from doing. Each of us had inspiring lecturers in our college days, but I am confident that the strongest of them created opportunities for us to employ the methods that they themselves had mastered, allowing us to do the discipline, not just observe it. Fourth, our experience should demonstrate the power of the liberating arts in the world, the power to create a vibrant career, the power to effect positive change, the power to lead a rich and fulfilling life. That includes greater engagement in our global society through a campus experience more global in nature in all its aspects, and through a more varied and vigorous program of study abroad, one conceived and directed more fully by Monmouth faculty and staff. We have a solid start. Our integrated studies curriculum has established the idea of multidisciplinary teaching and learning fully within our DNA. Our strong offerings in undergraduate research, such as the Sophia program and the Midwest Journal for Undergraduate Research, along with our strong programs in the Wackerly Center for Career Development and Leadership, provide opportunities to learn by doing. The Triad program, which identifies issues of social importance and organizes teaching and learning opportunities around them, demonstrates the relevance of our experience. But we must do more. We are engaged in a thorough, inclusive process of planning that is shaping initiatives to move us in these directions. And you will hear more about that work as it proceeds and draws in even more individuals from across the college community. However, I am pleased to make these statements today. First, last fall, an anonymous friend of the college and her spouse challenged current, emeritus, and former members of the Monmouth Board of Trustees to make $2.5 million in new commitments to the college by December 31st, 2015. Today, I report that we have received just over $3 million in new commitments from 100% of these current and former members of the board, more than 8 months ahead of schedule. And I think that deserves a round of applause. On behalf of the entire Monmouth family, I thank the donors who made this extraordinary gesture and the trustees who answered their call. The first $2.5 million from the challenge donors will provide venture capital as we identify initiatives that can accelerate the college's advancement. For example, investment in the development of faculty and staff, in new techniques of teaching and learning, and the enhancement of existing ones, in strengthening our ability to tell our story more compellingly and to attract more people to the Monmouth family. We can seize these opportunities, address these challenges aggressively and now. The issuers of the challenge ask that $2.5 million of their gift go to endowment for student financial aid and scholarships. We will be using that endowment to support the creation of a new program that will recognize and reward exceptional intellectual and service achievements. This program will be named in memory of Admiral James Stockdale, a Monmouth alumnus whose courage and leadership manifested itself during his 7.5 years as a POW during the Vietnam War, for which he won the Medal of Honor. The program will also be named in honor of his wife, Sybil Stockdale, who founded the National League of Families of POWs and MIAs, demanding better treatment for and a full accounting of POWs and MIAs from the Vietnam War. The James and Sybil Stockdale Fellows Program will provide full tuition scholarships, concentrated mentoring opportunities, and funds to support enrichment projects each year. The college will award the first Stockdale Fellowships for the class entering in the fall of 2016. Another of these initiatives will, in a very real sense, open the world to our students. Beginning with the class that will enter this fall, each new Monmouth student who does not already have a United States passport will be provided assistance with the paperwork, and the college will pay the application fee for that passport. We are determined that our students be truly at home in the world, wherever in the world their lives may take them. In another time of crisis, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy spoke at the commencement exercises at Trinity College in Washington, D.C. He spoke on June 2nd, 1963, as his brother's administration was, in a two-day period, about to call for a dramatic lessening of tensions with the Soviet Union, address major crisis points in the civil rights movement, and in the growing conflict in Vietnam. Attorney General Kennedy told the class that, quote, "From now on, you have earned the right to do your own learning, to develop your own insights, and draw your own conclusions, to conduct your own explorations in the life around you. Your minds have been freed. In the light of a truly freed mind, no prejudice can disguise itself as zeal. No bullying can masquerade as leadership. No pettiness can pose as importance. Men and women with freed minds may often be mistaken, but they are seldom fooled. They may be influenced, but they can't be intimidated. They may be perplexed, but they will never be lost," Mr. Kennedy said. Those who know me well know that the two great sources of cultural reference for me are history, particularly United States history, and rock and roll lyrics from the 1960s and 70s. One of my favorite songs from that era is "Get Together" by the Youngbloods, led by Jesse Colin Young. The closing stanza goes, "If you hear the song I sing, you must understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. The key that we hold is not just to love and fear. We hold the key to intellectual curiosity. We hold the key to creative thinking. We hold the key to integrity. We hold the key to responsibility for self and others. We hold the key to moral courage. We hold the key to wisdom. We hold the key to the grace that comes from a life examined, a life empowered. Conflict and challenge confront us at every turn. Yet the promise of peace and prosperity unprecedented in human history lie within our grasp. Our opportunity, our obligation, is to raise our sights, to envision, create, and sustain an educational experience that nurtures the people who will unlock that future. Let us come to this place each day, determined and joyful, to carry out this mission to the best of our abilities. Our only limits are imagination and energy. Let us think anew. Let us act anew, and in doing so, free ourselves, free our students, and through them, free our world to realize the power of possibility that lies within us all. Thank you.